everyone, thank you so much for coming through to this video. Today we are going to watercolor paint this winter themed drawing of some nice wintry gloves, a hat and a scarf. So what you'll need for this is a piece of watercolor paper. Don't worry too much what it is, whatever you have. You will need obviously some watercolor paints, some kind of palette, some watercolor brushes. I have a range here that I just have for watercolors that I keep separate from my acrylics. I've got some flats, I've got some filberts, there's some rounds of different sizes and some angled brushes. So you can get sets like this that have a good mixture in, and then that's all you need really is a range of different size brushes. So you need to have had your pencil and eraser. You need to have the printout, which is available on my website. If you email subscribe on my website at heartanddesign.org.uk. The link is below. You won't get the winter ones now because I've already emailed those out, but you will be able to get them by going to the community tab on my channel, and then all the winter downloadables are there for you to download. And then the next time, if you are subscribed, then the next time you'll get the next package, which I think is either cats or dogs themed, something like that. I can't remember what I've done now. Okay, so we're going to crack on with this. To start with, you need to think about what kind of colour scheme you want for your hat and scarf and gloves. Now, I have drawn a very, very pale outline. So I drew it, and then I kind of used my kneadable eraser. I need a new one, look at that. And I picked up some of the darkest pencil, so it's nice and plain and you can't see too much, and then we can go in and kind of just create whatever we want. So I'm going to just go in with, to start with, a mid-sized round. This is a 5, and this is from Artful. I used to get their subscription boxes and I love their brushes, they're great. So I really want to have, let's go for should we go for a green and a yellow themed? Because I like green and yellow together. And I'm always at like a pinks and purples girl. So let's have a little change and just have lots of different shades of green and values of green. And let's just see what happens, shall we? Now, I will just say I don't practice these beforehand. Okay, I like you to, I think you learn better. You can see my thought process. And like then you just saw me go, oh, let's do greens. I just think firstly, I don't have time to sit and practice them and then redo them because I have to run my physical business, which is also linked below. So this, I just have to run with it in front of you really and see what happens. So I'm literally just picking up some of the pigment from some of the yellows and some of the greens, and with some water, and putting them on the palette so I can decide as we're going along what colours to use. All right. Some of them are coming out quite similar to others, which is fine. So we can just choose as we go along. I kind of like those greens. There's a lot of nice greens there. I'm now going to another set just to see if there's anything different, and I'm just going to put it at the bottom so that I know it's the greens from the other set. See, we just seem to be getting very similar colours now. Let's try this green. Is that any different? A little maybe. Oh, I think it's mixing in some pink that was already there. Have a look. There we go. Right, so we've got a mixture there. That's okay. I haven't put any yellows in. Let's do that quickly. We want to have some yellows as well. Bring some nice bright colour into it. And once I'm up and running, I can start making colour choices. Okay. So let's go. I like that yellow. I'm just going to add some more water. Oops. Now, I always have paper behind my work so that if I do any dribbles or if I want to test out any colours like that, I can do. So I like that. I think we'll start off just putting, should we do the stripes in like different colours? Okay, so we're just going to put the first layer on. I'm going straight onto the paper I'm not wetting the paper first. So those of you that are watercolors know there's wet in wet and wet on dry. I didn't want to wet the paper first because I'm just doing these different sections quite loosely and just running with it. So then I'm going to think, where else do I want some yellow? Now, it's a striped and a patterned scarf, but I think I don't really want to go too much into the patterns. I'm going to put some down there. I'm just going to do the stripes as they come to me. There. So what I'm doing here really is just a first layer of colour, and I just really want to run with it. I'm going to put the yellow down for the whole of the glove. It looks like it's going to be Bumblebee at the moment, doesn't it? It's really not. For those of you watching this and you're new, please do subscribe, like, comment, share, whatever you can do to help my channel grow would be greatly appreciated. I am very new. Yeah, so I'm just putting down the first coat. Oh, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you can hear about when my videos come out, because just subscribing doesn't secure that. They don't always tell you. Okay, I'm going to put a bit more water in there because it is coming out quite bright yellow, and that's okay. Right, so I'm just literally putting a layer of colour down where I think I want my colour to be. So I'm going to come in here underneath, do some more stripes on that scarf. And we can come in and work on our values, on our light and dark areas afterwards. That will help to create that 3D effect. So I'm going to kind of ripple these a bit. They need to have a nice shape to them that suggests movement. They need to be kind of... Now, when I drew this out from the printout, from the traceable, I have only just drawn the outline, and that's all you need, because you won't be going into great detail like the drawing is with watercolours in that way. You just need to have an outline of what you want to do. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a little bit. Oh, actually, we're going to stripe down. I'm going to do some stripes here on the gloves, and we'll go yellow inside as well. And then we can always add some green on top. Oops. Just spread that down. Try and make sure, like I did a straight one then, but try and make sure they've got a bit of wiggle to them so that it looks more realistic. And remember, this is watercolour. You can be really, really loose with this and it'll just look lovely anyway. Okay, so we're going to come in. I'm not sure which green to go for. So what I'm going to do is just try some out next to that. I quite like that kind of aqua-y green. Yeah, I might go for that one. I think that's that colour there. Yeah, okay, I found the green I want to go for. It's kind of like a tealy aqua kind of green. I like it. What I'm going to do is dry it, because there are some bits that's still wet and it will bleed into each other, so this will go off for a few minutes. Now, if you have more time, you can, of course, just leave it to dry naturally. But as I'm teaching, I just want to get it done quickly. So I'm just going to add in some of that colour in the stripes, where there are stripes all over. Yeah, I kind of like that colour. That's nice. So those are going to be our two main colours, but we can bring other greens and other yellows into it afterwards if we want to, especially if you want to do any pattern. And you can see here that I'm not being perfect about it. I am going over the lines a little bit with watercolour. That's what's nice about watercolour, you know, it's watery, it flows and it goes into other colours, and that's absolutely fine. Let that be a part of the joy of your painting. Okay, so I'm just going over the stripes, and I will add in kind of just more of the same colour from here on in, just to kind of sort of give clarity to the picture. Otherwise it's not going to make much sense. Like at the moment it doesn't really look like anything much, but it will. Trust the journey of your painting, and that there's always ugly stages, and there's always stages that really don't make much sense. Whilst I'm doing this, I'll just remind you, please don't forget to subscribe and comment and all those things. But please do make sure as well that you have kind of put some music on and you're doing this in a nice relaxed way, because there will be moments where I just go quiet and I'm concentrating, and you can just follow along and join in. I try and make sure that all of these activities in my books and on the sheets are kind of just mindfulness activities. They're just something fun to do. You can put them in your scrapbooks or your journals. I'm just going to dry that layer. Okay, let's go for the bobble. What I'll do is I'll do some yellow first, and I'll push that around, and then I might come on and do some of that green on top so that we do have some separation. Let's try that. I love the way watercolours just kind of do their own thing and bring the painting to life in their own way. Right, so let's go for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to use the green to come in and just do like a little bit more detail. I might even go straight into the colour actually and kind of have a more deeper version of that, and just bring it across and spread it in, just because any kind of fabric will have different values of the same colour running through it. It won't be just like a flat colour, and by doing that we are creating a little bit of definition, a little bit of 3D-ness, a little bit of reality. Just tidying up the ends as well, just to make sure that it is all one bit of fabric. Come in here. Apologies if ever I lean in front of the camera. I have a good habit of doing that. All you see is my hair. Don't want to be doing that now, do we? I'm going to come here and just create almost like a separate different colour with the two colours in that end. Just going to pause you 1 minute. I will be back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, my phone was pinging away. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't my children and they weren't needing me for something. Okay. So I'm just coming in now, as I said, with some kind of layering. I'm just layering the same colour on top of the other colour and just literally just dabbing it in different places, because real fabric, as the light hits it, will have some darker areas and some lighter areas. So all I'm doing is pushing it around and just almost letting it do its own thing as well. I'm going to come over that one a bit darker, and I'm going to do the same with the other ones actually. I'm not really feeling like I'm going dark enough. You really need a good difference between your lightest and your darkest value for any piece of artwork to come to life. So I'm going to do that, and I'm doing it mainly around the edges, coming into being lighter in the middle, and we'll do it again with the yellow as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Right, now we're coming in to do the glove underneath. That'll be quite dark because it's kind of underneath the scarf. There's lots of shadow area there, so I'm darkening that up quite a bit. But as I say, you know, all of these I'm doing off the top of my head. I'm not really practicing them at all because I want you to see how I go about creating my ideas and establishing them into a finished piece. So there you can see like the lights and the darks, like you can imagine that's where the light would be hitting them, and that it really is, that's what makes the difference, is putting those values in. Coming up here, I think I need to come in and do under here. Whoop! That is not what I meant to do. Sorry, that was my air pressure machine going off. I have a heat press that requires air pressure, so it can get noisy. I've just switched it off. Okay, so here it's the bit that's curling round, and so we need to kind of make that quite dark, but I'm going slowly with it. But actually I think I just need to go in there and make that darker. See, underneath. So that could be like the back side of the scarf. Right, I'm going to dry that out. Okay, so now I really want to try and get some definition with the fold overs. So I'm going to come straight in with the yellow off the block of watercolor. Okay, and I'm just gonna create that little shadow underneath that roll, because that's a roll, and I'm going to do the same here, as though I'm kind of painting in the direction it's going in to give the impression that it's going in that direction, really. Okay, you can see that, and then having that down below. Now you don't want it too different, so pull some of it down. We want that direction and movement, but we don't want it to be too different to the colour that's underneath. Okay. This is okay here. Happy enough with that. So then we've got another roll, which is here. So we need the green to come in and be quite dark there. So I'm going to come in under, and we can see that that was another roll, because we've created that depth there. I mean, it might not be obvious, but it doesn't really matter too much. Let's see if I can just, no, we'll leave it like that. Okay, so now I want to come in and do some more work on the hat. I'm going straight into that lovely green, and I'm just coming in and making the bobble a little bit darker in places. I'm going to do some more green here as well. So I think that the bottom there, we would have a darker value, and then I come in just with some water and blend it up a bit. Okay, so that it's not like just one line of colour, and it's a bit more realistic. I'm quite happy, I think, with the green on there, but I am just going to define it a bit more, because I think it needs it. And you just keep going. This is all I do, is I keep going, adding slightly darker and darker layers, and the more you do of that, the more sort of depth you will get in your designs. Now you can start to see where the darker colours are and the lighter colours are kind of making it push out. It's giving it depth. I'm also going to come in, I think, with a bit more of that under here, and that again creates that shadow at the top. Again, I'm just gonna, oops, there was a big blob of water on the end of my brush that I didn't notice. Pull it down a bit so that we can, it doesn't feel like just a dark line. I'm going to come in now and do some more shading of the yellow, coming straight in from the block with a bit of water, and just going to create, now it's a lot darker, that yellow, so I'm going to have to bring that in a bit like that. There we go. But you can see that that's helping to create the 3D-ness with the value that it's on. Okay, we're starting to get some shape and feel for our scarf. Okay, and what I'll have to do is go around the whole thing now with that yellow and do the same thing, but I'm just going to dry everywhere first. The hat's still got some drying to do, so I'm going to work down on the gloves a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give an idea of where the fingers are in the gloves now by just guiding some colour into the bottom of those fingers and trying to bring that to life a little bit, which is why we had that first layer down, so we can then come in with some more of that darker colour and kind of just generate that 3D-ness of having lots of layers. And yeah, just making it feel real. So we do the same here. Coming round, a little bit of water, and we're nearly done. Going to blend that in a bit more. Kind of going to brush it the way as well. See, that's, once you start blending it in, it really does start to come to life. Kind of just do a little thin line there of shadow just to bring that round as well. And now you can start to see some shape coming to the gloves simply by doing that. Right, I'm going to do the same here with the scarf. We're going to go dark around the edges. We can blend it up in a minute. I'm just going to add the colour direct for now and see what I think. Okay, that's good. So we've got much darker feel towards the ends, which is what we want down there. Darker, a little bit of darker shadow. I might just swing that around like that to give the end a little bit of tone. I don't want it to be too strong. There we go. And again, that's just, I think that bit under there, because it's under the roll, that could be really dark, couldn't it? Let's do that, and then we need to do the same with the green. It probably needs to be quite a bit darker under there to show that it's overlapping. Oops, forgot it was next to that yellow. It spread a bit, but don't worry about that. You just your fingers, push it out of the way. Right. And again, just keep layering until you're happy, until you really feel it does look 3D, because that's the point of our pictures. They don't need to be super detailed, but they are meant to look 3D. So I'm going to come under here and give that some shadow so that it looks like it is actually folding over that part, and we're creating that shadow. Can you see now? That kind of shows that it's lumped up. And then we do it again here. Just check, is that dry? That's not dry. Let me just dry that first. Okay, we're going to come in with that dark green, come underneath and around, and then again that will create that sense that that one's overlapping that one. I think I'm going to come in even darker, do it again, really close to that, because that will show that shadow. Here we are, and then again here, just really dark, very, very close to it where it's tucked in, and again that will give that nice sense of overlapping. Perfect. Okay, so we are getting there, I feel. I think we need to go back to the gloves now, and I think we need to just put a bit more pigment down around the edges here, because I feel as though the colour is kind of disappearing on those. And we'll just pull a little bit up there. We still want it sort of darker on the ends, but we don't want it to be so dark that the middle looks like there's a bright light on it. There. Okay, we're getting there, and I just want to patch in some darker in there as well, because it's on the inside, it is going to be darker. I need to come in with that yellow because there shouldn't really be any kind of separation there, any kind of gap, because the gloves are overlapping each other. And then we'll just blend that up as well, because that makes it look like it's all together then. Okay, I'm going to just move that up a bit. We probably could do with a bit here as well. Let's get that, because that's where there is shadow. Don't forget, it always dries a bit lighter than what you've done as well, so if you're a bit worried that it's too dark, but remember, it is that difference between the dark and the light that will help to show where the shadow and the light's hitting. So don't be afraid of the dark. Okay, now you can see that's really starting with just a little bit of really dark value. It's really bringing it to life. So I'm just going to keep now adding on the layers wherever I feel, and you can do the same. You can see what I'm doing, so just go ahead and do what feels right for you. Obviously try not to put down your colours where they're going to mix with another wet colour, which I'm very impatient, so it happens a lot to me. And I'm going to blend that up, and I'm going to do it in the way that the hand is going, and then that also gives it that 3D feel. Do feel as though it needs a little bit more shadow now, just down here, just almost very fine. I'm taking the colour straight from the palette, straight from the blocks, not really watering it down at all. As you can see, that's just giving that some nice shadow. I'm going to come up here and put some shadow almost right under. Okay. I might even try, I mean, I've just been using the same two colours, by the way, which just goes to prove that you can really create depth with just the same colour. But I think I do want to come in with a slightly darker yellow. It's just like a different colour. Let's see what that does. That's good. See that now we can come in and really create some meaningful dark value and shadow with that slightly darker yellow. It's almost brown, to be honest. It's I think it's yellow ochre, which is a yellowy brown. Okay, that was a bit wet still. I think I'm going to have to dry it before I start mixing in too many more colours. But I'm happy with that. Just kind of spreading some of this along where I think it could do with it, where I may have forgotten areas. It's good to try and keep some of the light still there. I think I'm going to come in with a slightly darker green again with the, and really darken up that shadow. I just think it really needs it to show that it is like a different flap of a different fold. There we are. Yeah, that's good. It shows that it's a different fold of the scarf. It just gives it another dimension, and I think here I just need to come in and do that curl and get it looking like it is folding. Can you see that? That's really helped. Might even use it to, oh no, nearly picked up the wrong colour then. Might use it just to come in and do some darker lines coming from the edge. That wasn't really what I intended. I wanted it to be darker. Darker, she says. Well, look at dark. That's okay. Maybe I'll leave it now because I think I'm faffing too much and overworking it. So let's just leave it as it is. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with how that's folding over. Okay, the rest of the scarf, that's fine. So now over to the hat. The hat still needs quite a bit of work, so let's go up here. I'm going to put this quite dark. I'm going to do like one edge of it quite dark and then bring up the yellow. I think that creates a nice sense of shape and shadow. Remember, it will dry lighter, so don't worry too much. That's better. I hadn't put enough. I hadn't put enough water on it. There we go. As you can see, it's really starting to come to life a bit now. It always does as you start to add the layers and darkness to the light. Put some more of that yellow up there, the darker yellow. Obviously, I'm layering with the different yellows and greens, so it can be tricky. They do bleed into each other a little bit. Just getting some water now, and I'm just going to kind of try to blend that in a little bit. We still want to keep that light, so try not to push too much of it around. We want to show that there is a difference still. I'm going to come in with the darker brown, the darker yellow, sorry, the yellow ochre. I'm just going to dry it first. I'm just using that darker yellow ochre now to pop in some more shadows, and maybe even come in with just drawing some thin lines coming down, just to give it, like in a drawing there are some lines there, and it just really does just gives some description and tells a bit of a story about what's going on. So this is curling over, so I'm just going to draw some lines to show that that's curling over, and then I'm just going to add in some little bits here and there. Again, it's the darkest shadow now. This is the darkest value I will do, so we need to make sure we've got it in the right places. Okay. I don't feel it needs too much here, but just a hint of it maybe here. If you do it sort of coming over like it would do on the hand, it kind of helps to develop that feeling of a glove. Right, coming in again with that darker one. I think we're nearly done coming in with too much of that dark, but like I say, just adding some little lines in here and there won't hurt, and will help to describe a bit more what's happening. Okay. Right, so a bit worried about how this one's turned out. It doesn't look like a finger at the moment, and that's gone green, so I'm just going to bring that over a bit. That's fine, because that one's kind of tucked underneath that one, and then that's on top. I feel like it just needed to be that bit darker. Okay, so I don't want to overwork it now. I am worried about doing that, but I am still going to try and find like darker green. I think I just need to make sure there's not too much water in it, so that it is that bit darker, and just come in now with some little highlights like that. Well, I suppose dark lights. Just adding that value in like I have done with the yellow ochre, just doing the same with the green, just giving it a little bit more description. And again, that extra dark does help, just a little touch of it to create that sense of 3D-ness. You can see where there's light shining, and you can also see where it's darker. So I'm going to create a proper hole in there. Let's get some real dark around there. That's going to be really dark, that little bit, because it's tucked right under. And again, coming in here. This is the bit that's shadowed because the top bit is over, so we can really work in some more along here. And I love the way, like, you can be really watery with it to start with, but then you can come in with just almost the pigment straight from it, and that also creates an extra dark value. So hopefully it's starting to make a bit of sense. There's that other green. Here we are. We need that dark green. We don't want too much water. I'm just going to come in from the ends and in towards the middle. Like that. Same with the hat. Just going to use the green straight from there. Create that sense of depth and shadow. And just pull it up. I'm just flicking the brush and pulling it up. Don't worry too much. I mean, I went over there into the yellow. It's fine. It's watercolour. And it has a mind of its own anyway. So make sure it's a really, really dark colour. And just touches of it, because you don't want to darken the whole picture. You want those light bits. But this is what makes it pop at the end. This is the difference. This is what I love about art, is how just the simplest thing, like adding in those dark values, really helps to create that 3D effect. It's so important just to have some, even if like on here, just a little bit on the ends. Dribble it along. I do like watercolors for that, for their own kind of sense of movement. Let's put some in the hat. And then we can dry. And it should be done. I think we are pretty much done. I don't want to really play with it too much more because I don't want to ruin it. And I think we're pretty much there with it. There we are, all done. Now what you could do is come in with your liner pen and you could mark in, say, some areas and outline. So for example, on the hat you could come around like that. I don't know if you can see, and I'm just adding some pen in, but to be honest, it doesn't really need it. As long as you've got all your values in, you'll see the depth and you'll see the shape of what you're doing. Can you see? You don't really need to do that, but if you want to, that is an option. So I'm going to go ahead and do that a bit now so that you guys can see what it looks like done. It doesn't make a massive amount of difference, but it does help to give some definition to it. And you could do a clean kind of sweep across there, and it helps to tidy up the bottoms, but as I say, it's not necessary. And I tend to just put bits in here and there. I don't line the whole thing. I just kind of like the way it finishes it off. It just gives it a little bit of pop. Especially like things like that, like the ends. The ends of things where it may be not quite so clear. Yeah, that just helps to, can you see? It helps to bring the shape of the fingers. But as I say, it's not necessary. You really don't have to do this bit, but I am doing it for those of you that would like to. And again, round. Just literally quick lines here and there. Could do the same with that one, I suppose, because I've done it there. Some quick lines and a few here, just describing what's going on. I don't tend to pen all the way, just bits here. I like it like that. So I'll do a little bit around the hat as well, because I've done it on the scarf. I feel as though I should. Now we are completely done. I have smudged a bit though there. Never mind. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and don't forget that notification bell, because that will tell you when my next video is coming out. And there are different versions of this. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do the acrylic and marker pens. Take care. Have a great day, everyone.